Welcome everybody to Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room. This show is brought to you by Operation Encore. Operation Encore is a 501c nonprofit that helps veterans transition over to the music industry. If you would like, go to www.operationencore.org and check them out today. They even got a little donate button. You can slap it and give them a hand and help these veterans out. The show is also brought to you by Gun Room Radio.
You are not alone. There are so many. It's a mortar attack. Smaller fire and RPGs. We don't. He was sitting in the shadows with a gun in his hand and a lifetime of... I know he can remember when all the shows turned off at 12 a.m.
Hey, today we have got an awesome show, man. This show is one I have been waiting for a minute. We were supposed to do it a while back, and life happened, and now we are getting it going. So tonight, I am going to bring on Jenn Ford. What's going on?
Trying to get the dogs to shut up barking. Sorry.
I don't feel bad. My dog over here, she has made herself on the air several times. So
We have 6 dogs right now. So
oh wow.
yes, 2 are mine, and then 4 are my best friends, and everybody is excited, and they have been quiet until I got on the podcast, and now everybody is a superstar.
That's it. I'm telling you, we raise hell over here. So why don't you give everybody a real quick background of how Jenn Ford became Jenn Ford?
Well, I was born to Joe and Julie Ford first.
There's a good start.
That's the first thing that made me myself, I guess. My dad was a Marine, and I was born while he was stationed at Camp Lejeune, and my parents were from Texas, and he finished up his service when I was still a baby, and they moved back to Texas, and I've been here a diehard Texan my whole life, and they moved out to the Piney Woods up near Kilgore, Longview, to a town called Carthage, Texas, and I grew up there. Basically graduated from Carthage High School and went to college on a music scholarship. I've always been a musician. I've always been an entertainer. Always been into making productions and planning, exciting, entertaining events. As a child, I played on the piano and made a lot of noise. Had a guitar when I was a little girl. I never learned how to play it until I became an adult, but it's been about music. It's been about having a good time. And I guess when I went to college, I really had the idea that I wanted to see the world, coming from rural East Texas. And my dad served and my grandfather served, and I was the oldest. And I felt like I wanted to have opportunities for education and financial stability, and also see the world and do something, that was unexpected. And also didn't want my parents to tell me what to do. I was tired of people telling me what to do. So I joined the military, where they tell you what to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. So if I'm not mistaken, you went in the Army as a MP, correct?
Yes.
How did that go over with Dad as a Marine?
That did not go over well. First of all, if I could do it all again, I would not have chosen being an MP. I think G.I. Jane was super popular in 1996 and 97, and I had it in my mind that I wanted to be like a sniper or something.
Okay.
And I could have been an intel analyst with my GT score. I could have been like a nuclear scientist, because I scored really high, and my recruiter tried to talk me out of it. But I was dead set on being an MP. We had law enforcement in my family. My grandfather was an MP in the Army, and I felt like that was another way I could be of service and show my parents that you can't tell me what to do because I know the law.
That's one for the Army. I'm going to tell you, on Gunroom Radio, we have got a bunch of Marines. So when I hear a good get back at you Marine story, I like it, man.
You can't tell me what to do, Mom and Dad. I am a police officer now.
And fixing to be a sniper.
No, I was never a sniper. No.
Well, you could, if you got stationed at Fort Bliss, when I was at Fort Bliss, you could have definitely been a sniper because I think there was more shooting going on at Fort Bliss than there was overseas. So
do they let females be snipers these days? I don't know. Back in there, back in the 90s, late 90s, I don't think they did. That's telling me.
No. As I was getting out, they were opening up more combat arms MOSs. I believe within the last year or so, I believe even infantry is now open. So
yeah, they're doing a lot of stuff. And at the time, MP was the closest thing to combat that I could get to. And we did everything that infantry do as far as training wise, but we add law enforcement aspect to it and then are mobilized. So like we were in Humvees, so I learned how to shoot a Mark 19 and a saw and a 50 cal and a 9mm and a M4 and an M16 and a shotgun and a grenade launcher and all of the things. And it was pretty fun. I mean, like, can I say a bad word on here?
Absolutely.
I felt like a badass. I mean, I still feel like a badass.
You should.
Yeah, but I had a drill sergeant. A funny story, not a funny story, but I 3 or 4 weeks into basic training, I got a really bad staph infection in my knee, and I had to like go in the hospital, get surgery. They sent me home. My drill sergeant Cates, said, "You'll never be back. You're a quitter, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm coming back." And I came back, and so I got kind of recycled into a new unit after I did all my PT and everything on my physical therapy. And so they sent me to a new unit, and that drill sergeant, I think, had been in the Army Soldier Show. And I was always singing in the barracks, like singing everybody to sleep, I guess, singing on the intercom. And he was like, "You've got a really good voice. Have you ever heard about the Army Soldier Show?" And I guess he'd been a cast member of the Army Soldier Show a few years before, and he told me about it. And I just kind of stuck it in the back of my mind. When I graduated AIT, I got orders to Korea, went over to Korea, took my guitar to Korea, sang in the barracks, partied.
Absolutely.
Learned how to drink, went to the field, did all the things you do in a line unit. And when I got back to when I went to Fort Bliss, about a year after I got to Fort Bliss, the Army band on Fort Bliss, somehow, I think somebody saw me singing karaoke at the bowling alley on post, and they referred me to the Army band to sing at their Christmas program for the post commander. And after that, it was on. Like, immediately I submitted an audition tape to the Army Soldier Show. I got accepted a few months later, went on tour. September 11th happened while I was on tour, came back, was doing MP stuff after we finished our 8-month-long assignment there. And after about 3 or 4 months of me being back, the Army band again was like, "We want you in the Army band. We want you in the Army band." And my unit would not let me go.
What?
Did not want me to have a good time, and understandably so, because we were right when everybody was getting deployed. And the post commander said, "Nope, we want Jenn Ford, and Jenn Ford's coming to my Army band because I want her to sing in my backyard, and I want her to lead the post choir, and I want her to do whatever." So I ended up back in the Army band after about 8 or 9 months of being an MP again, and got married, got pregnant 2 months later, had our first son. And then the sergeant major from the Army band said, "Well, you're stop loss. You can't get out of the military, but here's a cool idea. Why don't you re-enlist for Europe, and I will get you a direct assignment to the USERA band, of course, and you can spend some time over there. So I had like a 3-month-old son at the time, and I was like, you know, yes, I will re-enlist
Yep.
for an assignment that will allow me to be with my child. And so I re-enlisted, and he was 4 months old when we got there, and immediately started diving into music. And the USERA band is like the top of the line band. It's comparable to the actual Army band, of course, in DC. They have the same musicians. They just go back and forth. And so those were the top-notch musicians in the military that I was stationed with. And I did that for 4 years, and it was amazing. We had another child over there, and we left in 2007, went to Fort Sam Houston. I did a reenlistment to get back to Texas and was going to stay in and go back to being an MP because it was time. And I was a staff sergeant at the time, and I ended up being the Fort Sam Houston BAMC provost sergeant. So I was in charge of all the security officers, all of the DA police on the Fort Sam, the BAMC complex. And they started sending me to physical security school. I was gone for like 8 months after that first year that I was stationed there. Then they sent me to BNOC and spent a lot of time away from my 2 little ones that were 4 and 1 year old when we got there. And then a year after I got back to the States, they gave me orders to Fort Carson, to a unit that was going to deploy. And I said, okay. And the marriage had kind of ended, so I was a single parent at the time. So I left the kids with their dad, and I was going to go to deploy. And then some things happened with our children that basically made it to where I needed to get out and be a parent. So I ended up getting out with for parenthood to take care of my kids, and got honorable discharge and came back to East Texas and brought my kids back and started school. Thought I was going to be a nurse, and I came back to music eventually. I'm kind of condensing the process to where, because I know this is a military-based veteran platform. Usually I don't go as in depth with all of the things, but I know you understand what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
But I think what I realized is that there were some things that happened in Korea. I'm an MST survivor. And once I got out of the military and those things started getting unpacked, then I realized that I had PTSD, and I had it really bad. And so as much as I would like to say that I've had a success story, it's not entirely like that. The first 3 years I got out of the service, I struggled a lot with housing, with just the transition, and also like who am I now that I'm not a soldier anymore? And so I think a lot of people have that obstacle to overcome when they get out of the service. Like, who am I now that I am not a soldier anymore?
We just talked about this couple podcasts I was on, the Rick Yee show, and that's exactly what he said. The big problem with transition is you think you're moving on to your new life, but the reality is your whole identity has been stripped from you. What you were in the military, your job was you, your buddies, your deployments, your history, all of that,
Yeah. And so translating all of that to civilian life, it's like you have all of this jargon, all of the acronyms, all of the attitude, all of the discipline, all of that. And it's off-putting when you come out to other people like, whoa, calm down. We're just going to the grocery store or whatever. And and you're like, no, this is how I do things. And like, well, this is not how everybody else does things. So you go through this cycle of like shutting it completely off, and then kind of feeling ashamed, I think, of some of the things that, like, God, I'm so wound tight. Why am I so wound tight? And I need to tone it down because people are kind of perceive this to be aggression, and it's not really, especially as a woman. ambition is perceived as aggression a lot. Like I've heard the term like you're so aggressive, and I'm like, aggressive is what a pit bull is when he's ripping the head off of a chicken. That's aggressive. Assertive means you know what you want.
Yeah.
And you're direct. And I think that those are more terms that should be used for military veterans and especially women that have been in positions of responsibility. A lot of times that all of that assertiveness and ambition and directness and, you know, matter of factness and sureness about what you're saying, you know, being concise, all of that, not sugarcoating things, is sometimes just like culture shock to your family, to, you know, if you go to church or whatever, you're like, oh, this is a good idea. And they're like, she just said that with so much confidence and went straight to the point and didn't wait on everybody else's feelings. And you're like, well, I'm not trying to waste your time. You know, I'm trying to get to the point and let's get her done. Let's get her done. So
yeah, absolutely. And I do agree with you. Last season I had a guest on, and she brought up a huge point that I never even thought about it. You know, she was at the VA waiting to get her turn to go see the doctor, and an older lady looked at her and said, "Oh, was your husband in the military too?" And she was like, "No, I was in the military." You know, and people forget about that, and I never even thought about that until she brought that up. But I bet you that happens quite a bit.
Yes. My husband, Eric, and I have been together for 8 years. We've been married for 6, and he is super supportive. Did not serve in the military, but he is 100% supportive, and he goes to a lot of my VA appointments, and we'll come in, and not so much around here because a lot of people know me in East Texas and in the Pine Woods for my music and stuff, and I've been going to the same VA forever. But if we go into Lowe's and I want the discount, I'm like, can we get the veterans discount? And they look at me like, can we see your, and I'm like, hello, me, not him, me. I know I don't look like I could bench press 250 pounds anymore. Back when I was, 15 years ago, I was Xena Warrior Princess. Now I'm just like a regular person, but I used to be a badass, and I want my discount.
Absolutely. So I've been following you on social media too. And since you brought up your husband, I gotta say he's got, I don't know if it's his full job or if it's just a hobby, but if I'm not mistaken, doesn't he announce for wrestling? That is awesome.
Yes. So he did wrestle for like 20 years.
Okay.
And in the East Texas, Oklahoma, just on the weekends kind of thing. And he's been doing it forever. And when we first met, he told me this and I was like, what? I love WWE, Dwayne Johnson, I think everybody in the United States used to watch it on Saturday mornings after cartoon. So I was a huge wrestling fan. But when he told me that, I was like, did you fight with The Rock? And he was like, no, not The Rock. But I did do some, expositions with Kamala, and I did see him fight Hacksaw Jim Duggan one time, and a couple other people. I can't remember everybody's names, but the first time I went to a wrestling match, I was like, I didn't know how to behave because I had been to the live performance, not the performance, but the live
wrestling
match. Not, the event. I've never been to a live event before. And so I was sitting there all proper, and he really said that not a lot of his, his previous relationships, not a lot of people were as involved, and they didn't go. And so he was excited that I went. But after about 30 minutes of me sitting there observing the chaos, I was like, I think that I love this. And then I was like, you suck, you're a terrible. So it only took like 30 minutes of me like, what kind of environment is this? How should I behave? And so after that,
you became assertive.
Oh yeah. Super fun. We would take the kids, and he won Wrestler of the Year like a year and a half after we'd been together for his league, and it was super awesome. And those guys have been friends with them. They've all they came to our wedding, they come to my shows, all the time. And that's just like, those are like his brothers. Those are guys that he's been, you know, developing the storylines and doing stuff with for a long time. And so a few years ago, he got hurt pretty bad, which injuries do happen. They're not planned, you know, for them to be devastating injuries. But I remember the first few matches I saw him in, I thought he was hurt, and he wasn't hurt. But this one, I was actually at a show, and he called me, and I was on my way home with my guitar player. And I was like, "Hey, how are you doing? We're on our way home." He's like, "Don't worry." And that's the first thing he said was, "Don't worry." And I was like, "What do you mean, don't worry?" And he was like, "Everything is fine." And I'm like, "No, everything is not fine. I don't believe you. That's the first thing you just said is don't worry. So tell me what happened." And he said, I'm at the emergency room and I'm getting 18 stitches in the back of his head. He got hit with a baseball bat in a stunt and he was supposed to bob, and instead he weaved, and they hit him with full contact. And that was that, as far as him being in the ring on the you know, the actual character side. I said, "That's it." I said, "You know, I love you and I support you, but we're getting older and we have children, and that's a serious injury, and I'm going to need you to stop, because you had a severe concussion." And I was like, "I'm not wiping your butt. Not doing that. I love you, but I'm not going to change your colostomy bag."
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Well, you know, you can tell by the pictures that you know, he's very active in your career as well. You know, so that is awesome. You know, and I think that just makes the music and the journey that much better when you've got people around you that actually care. You know,
I would say with full confidence that he came into my life at a point where I was at a crossroads. I have my barber license. I'm a master barber. I've done a bunch of different things. My husband calls me MacGyver. He's like, "She's done everything at least once." So I was kind of at a point where I was figuring out how I was going to, you know, feed myself, keep a roof over our head. Yeah. And music was such a strong part of my life that I knew that I wanted to do it full time. And I broke up with him like 4 times, and I was like, "Look, I don't care where I live. I don't care what kind of situation it is. I have to do music, and I need you to understand that." And he was like, "Great, do it." And I was like, "We should totally break up." "No, we should break up." And he's like, "Why? I'm telling you to do it." And I was like, "I feel like there's a catch." She's like, "No, I think it's great." And I think because of how much I loved him as a person, it was hard for me to accept his support, because I had a lot of pushback my whole life from, you know, different things, from the military, from previous relationships, from even my parents, who are extremely supportive now. But, you know, it's hard to understand the life of a musician and artist in general. Like anyone who creates things that are art, it's not a tangible thing that you can like put a price to it or a timeline to of where the big payoff is. And they don't see the payoff as what's in here and what it does for you to like share your journey and relate to other people and actually kind of minister to people. I'm not super ultra religious, but like, you know, you're speaking to people and empathizing with people and showing your humanity and your vulnerability through your art. And I think that reaches people and is invaluable and priceless. And until you get people around you that see the effort and see how much time everything takes and how much you toil over the message, then it does seem kind of, you know, futile or whatever. It's like, well, there's musicians are a dime a dozen. Well, anybody has music in their heart, I believe. Like that's the first language that a mother shares with their child when they sing them, you know, lullabies, or they hum to them. It's comforting, and to put a price on that is not something a lot of us like to do, but it is a business and it is my lifestyle. And I've figured out ways that make sense and worked really hard to put a complete product together. And I'm working every day to make it, pay off. But the ultimate payoff is that it gives me a lot of peace, and I feel completely 100% at home when I'm on that stage, where I'm still struggling daily with anxiety and depression. And I mean, right now you have the best version of Jenn Ford. I'm on. We're talking about music. I'm good. Let's talk about it. But other times it's hard. It's hard for me to accept help. It's hard for me to accept when people want to invest in what I'm doing and say, hey, we see what you're doing and we want to help you out. And I'm like, what's the catch? Like, what do you want in return? Because I don't have any money. And they're like, we don't want anything in return. We believe in you. And I'm like, okay.
All right. What's the catch?
What's the catch?
Yeah, no, I absolutely. I feel that way myself, and I'm just like you. I don't like asking for help. I don't even like accepting help. And I don't know how to act around people when they do give it to me. I feel all weird. So yeah, I completely get it. Kind of along with that, I know you received some interesting news about Camp Southern Ground. You want to talk about that?
Are you talking about Georgia?
Yep.
Operation Support.
Yep.
Yes. So I'll talk about that, but I'll talk about some other opportunities too, like that have just kind of since Americana Radio came out. Well, even before then, there's just been things kind of falling in place over the last 12 to 18 months for me in music. And I got notification that I've been accepted to the Operation Encore program for the Warrior Song program in Georgia. And I would say that there's all these cool veteran programs, recreational programs for people to go out and experience a cool opportunity and maybe get some camaraderie with other vets who have similar experiences and similar interests. But a lot of those have been focused on like shooting or fishing or camping or horseback riding or.
There's a lot of outdoor stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of outdoor stuff. And I spent a lot of time outdoors in the military, sweating and living in the elements. And I really like air conditioning.
Me too now.
And I'll go float on the river and I'll get in the pool and I'll go fishing. That's cool. But if you're asking me to build a tent in the woods, no running water for a week, I'll pass on that.
Yep.
I don't, you see this hair? I work really hard to keep it this blonde, and I don't want to carry it around a whole big rucksack full of mosquito repellent. So
yeah, absolutely.
So the opportunity that I think this organization has presented, and there's a few organizations that do stuff like this and that are starting to see a need for it, is for us to go and experience basically a retreat that focuses on songwriters and how I guess they're going to give me some tips on how to better manage my business, how to maybe be a better songwriter, all of those things. And to me, that's such a huge opportunity because it's really difficult to map all that out and stay creative, to manage like rights and registration and direction and just to get some mentorship with that, I think is invaluable to me. And so this is a really good opportunity, and I'm so excited that they selected me. There's several veteran artists out there that they could choose from, but I like to think that the product that I've been putting out for the last 5 or 6 years has been consistently going in a positive direction and shows that I want to make an impact. And that is the biggest thing that I want to do, is to leave a mark that my family can be proud of and that my husband can be proud of. My children can see the greater purpose that I have in like pursuing my passion as my purpose. So they know that not everything's about money and not everything's about accomplishments in a materialistic way. Like, you need to know that you're giving back to the community and that you're okay with yourself. And so I feel like that's kind of some recognition for that consistency and being honest as a person with who I am in my community. And, you know, I'm just a human being doing the best I can. And so that opportunity came up. Another opportunity to go to Americana Fest and to the Americana Music Awards at the Ryman has happened.
Awesome.
Yes. And
congratulations. That is awesome.
I'm excited. I don't know anyone in the Americana Music Association. I joined last year. I've been a member of the Texas Country Music Association for the last 7 years. I helped them put on their first award show. Here's Eric. You want to say hi? He was talking about you earlier.
Hey, how's it going?
Wow, hey, cool.
He scoping you out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We was talking about wrestling.
Yeah, we were talking about wrestling.
Talking about old wrestling.
Yes. All right, get out of the frame.
I was like, enough about you.
Enough about you. Either in or out.
I'm trying to buy shoes. Sorry, I needed my car.
Yeah. It's payday. I told him to go buy a new pair of shoes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the other ones were funky. He's like, "Can I have a new pair of shoes?" Yes. Yes, you may. But yeah, just opportunities like that are coming up. Opportunities locally, nationally. I got to meet Rodney Douglas Norman. He's a famous comedian on social media, and he's actually on tour right now. And he's a former Marine.
He is busy as hell.
Yes. He's so nice and so gracious. He and his whole camp are very nice and gracious. It was just awesome to get to sit down with him and have a meal with him and talk about like his career in entertainment and basically compare notes and like, when did it happen? And he was like, I was doing it for years. And so that's just encouraging to know that like eventually something's going to hit, I think, with consistency and his message is awesome too, just in general. Like, don't take things too seriously. You never know what's going to happen. You got to be kind. You've got to be thankful. And he says it in such a funny, unassuming, hilarious, witty way with just being goofy. And I love that about him. He's just living his best life and being his best self and without apology. And I think that's something that everybody needs to get on board with. Is like, just be kind and do you, and life is short. You spend way too much time worrying about stuff.
I think that's one thing I just said this yesterday, that's one thing I love about the Gunroom Radio that we created, because all the songs and all the artists that's on there, I don't care which one you pick, it doesn't matter. They're singing about life experiences, and they all have that same goal. They want people to hear their music before they get paid. They don't care about the money. You don't know how many, when I was first setting this up, and I was only licensed with BMI, and I would come across artists and they would be like, yeah, man, play my music. I want you to. And I'm like, I can't, and it was frustrating. And now we're licensed with both, so we don't have that issue as much. But yeah, all they wanted was their music out there. They just wanted people to hear it, So I think
it's awesome that you are doing it legitimately the right way with being licensed. Because not a lot of people know what BMI and ASCAP is there for. And I'm still figuring all that out too. But that just basically makes sure that we're keeping track of where the music's being played and that we're getting our royalties for that. So that's awesome that you're doing it, because a lot of people don't know that. They think that it's a big evil organization, but no, it's really meant there to protect. It's just a lot of us don't know how to utilize that agency or those agencies to protect our work. So
and I think the reason why is because the industry in itself has changed. Back in the day, it was about CDs. If you weren't selling CDs or cassette tapes, even further back, it was about that, and people were ripping them and stuff like that. And that's ASCAP and BMI. They became really big at trying to stop copyright and so forth. And now it's like all these platforms, it's just about getting your music out there and getting your name known for shows and so forth. And so now people don't even think about those agencies, but they do. They have a bigger role now, especially with the boom of podcasting and live streaming and so forth. You know, there's tons of platforms you go to, and you'll hear songs. I'm like, I know you're not licensed to play that, but yeah, absolutely. And you know, they do give most of the money to the artists. As I've been going through this and learning, you know, the yearly fees that I pay, 88% of that with ASCAP. I'm not sure on the exact number of BMI goes back to the artists and songwriters. And I mean, it's split up between everybody. A lot of people don't even realize how many people's involved in making a song, but it's all split up. So yeah, it like you said, it goes back to making sure that you guys are getting paid and can continue to entertain and bring music that affects everybody, you know? So I know you just did a music video, and this kind of goes along with what we were talking about with Nutshell. Tell everybody a little bit about, because I learned a little bit more about it today. I didn't realize how much it was actually for your local community and veterans until I was reading about it today. So before I play it, if you don't mind me playing it, tell everybody a little bit about, you know, why you chose that song and everything else.
Okay, so the whole album that I just released in April is a bunch of songs from 20th century songwriters that I love, that I listened to growing up.
Hotel California.
Yes.
I love that song.
Yeah, well, we're trying to get the money put together so we can actually fly to Vegas to film it at Hotel California for the music video.
Oh. So
you won't know anybody that's got $1 million. No, it's not gonna be $1 million. I just need probably like $1,500. We can make it happen. But that's what we're working on. Hopefully by the end of the year we'll be able to get up there and me and Josh can film that. But so the whole album is 10 songs that I listen to on repeat since the 90s or maybe even the 80s on some of the songs. And we've got John Prine, Stevie Nicks, Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, or Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, Chris Cornell, Prince, Jimi Hendrix, the Eagles. What do you got? We've got all the best American songwriters and performers from.
It's a Super Bowl team right there.
Yeah, and none of the songs are. I mean, if you put them one song by the other song from the original artist, they are so different in styles and instrumentation. So my goal was with the whole album is to take all of these songs that mean something to me and connect the dots of me as a musician and a fan, and do it in a updated way that shows kind of like my musical journey as growing into the adult that I am now. Hopefully I'm an adult by now. But as a young woman, and now as a woman that knows who she is, and I feel like that music was instrumental in me becoming who I am now as an artist. So we took it and made it kind of like a Yellowstone cinematic movie with cool Western vibes, and called it Americana Radio because it's all things Americana, like blues, country, and rock all put together. And we chose, we meaning me, we meaning me. Well, I could say that the boys, I call them the Steel Record Boys. It's Steel Records. That's Leaf Shavely and Kyle Roop. We talked quite a bit about song selection, and I presented some songs, and they actually suggested, I think, Nutshell to me, and I'd been a fan of that song forever, and I thought about what it meant to me before I chose to actually add it to the album, and I was like, you know, the words in the song are kind of looming and retrospective and introspective, and all, you know, it's vague but very clear at the same time about how a lot of people feel when they're in a position of uncertainty. It's like nothing makes sense. You feel isolated. You feel kind of like you don't know where you're going, and it's kind of like a cry for some relief from whatever. And I decided to relate it to how I felt when I got out of the military, and not having a community and not knowing who I was as a person. Am I a soldier? Who am I as a person?
Yeah.
And I'm all of these things now. I was a soldier, I'm a veteran, and I'm a musician, and those things have been married up together. But I think what's important, what I feel like is very important for veterans who have made the transition and are confident in who they are and are working in their communities, is to look back at the new folks that are getting out and be able to say, hey man, we're over here on the other side. We've already been through it. Let me help you. Let me tell you who to connect with. Let me help you find a job. Let me tell you what worked for me. How about you come on over and let's have dinner or whatever. And I think that is super important to for us to have a community after we finish our service.
Yeah.
Because there's such a tight bond when you're in the military with your unit. It's instant trust in the guys and the gals that are serving with you, because you have to know that you can depend on them in times of stress. And I don't think that should be forgotten when you get out. And I think a lot of us feel compelled to put that part away, but it's not healthy. We have to stick together and we have to help each other. Yep. And I think there's something to be said when someone's like, oh, I was in the Navy for 20 years. And you're like, you totally get me then. You get my directness. You understand why I'm just getting to the point, or why let's go. And it's not perceived as anything except like, this is how you do things. Get it done. Get her done. Let's get it done. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and play Nutshell. Here's the video by Jenn Ford. Nutshell.
Chase misspending lives. We face the path of time, and yet I fight this battle all alone. No one to cry to, no place to call home. Guilt and selfish rage, privacy is raised, and yet I find repeating in my head. if I can't be my own, I feel better days.
That is, I love how you guys filmed that. The way you incorporated your local VFW, and that was awesome.
Well, did you see my brother in there, Kurt Ford? That was my brother.
Was that?
My brother's in there. It's
It
funny.
was he?
Yeah, Kurt Ford. That's my brother.
Okay.
It's funny because Josh, my videographer, my filmmaker, took a picture of us, and you could see us taking a drink of the beer at the same time, just like brother and sister.
Yeah.
Well, we got. I'm actually a member of that VFW now. I have played at VFWs quite a bit in the last few years, but so I didn't feel like I needed to join. But after I went up there and I saw what they were doing in the community, and I've even played there before, and Lonnie is one of my best friends now. Hey, Jason. She is an adjutant up there, or she does something up there, and she was the only female in the VFW, and I was like, this is a problem. I need to join. Let me join, because I think there's so many women veterans out there that kind of, like you said, get forgotten about. And
Absolutely.
I need to make this better.
Yeah.
And make it to where we're getting represented, because there's so many of us. And if I can help male or female veterans by just putting it out there that there is a community, and it's a good post as well. They do a lot of stuff. They have events every night of the week almost. But that should be my mission, is to encourage people to get in there and get involved in the community. And what better way to do it than do it with people who have similar experiences and past.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think anybody that watches that video, especially if you're a veteran, you're going to relate, because there was a lot of little things, the little details that I noticed, like the stack of challenge coins, man. Just seeing it brought back memories. And I think that's the thing that veterans are really going to pick up is that little details about stuff that just brings back those memories. So I don't know how you guys film it or who directs it or anything, but they did an amazing job.
Well, that's Josh Warren from Surface Wave Media, and he and I have been talking quite a bit about how we storyboard everything. I have a bachelor's degree in multimedia production, so I have a mind for film as well, and I've done all my videos up until this project.
Okay.
So what I did when we talked in the beginning is I told Josh, is like, I need somebody else to be behind the camera to capture my ideas. So I'll pitch something to my record label and say this is the idea, and then I'll talk it out with my husband because he's got, you know, his entertainment mapping out scripts and stuff, and
Mhm.
then we'll figure out a location. And Lonnie's really good. That's the female service member that was in there. She's about to retire from the Navy, but she's my best friend, and she's really good about helping me map out locations and get in the
Mhm.
community and stuff. And she's helped me with the last couple projects. And we just work together and then try to be authentic. And it's it's very loosely scripted, but there is a message when we go in that we want to be
Yeah.
clear message about my personal experience and how I think other people are experiencing things as well.
So the first person I ever spoke to that did a music video was Shannon Book. And I had no idea how they were done until he was explaining it to me about, you know, he said it took him 2 weeks to get through that song with all the videoing and everything else that they were doing. And he said, I have never in my life had to lip sync a song so many times. And I said, holy cow, I never even thought about this. He said, you'd get through a line and they'd be like, nope, do it again.
You know what? Everybody's different, but Josh is really good about efficiency, and I'm about efficiency as well. So, like, I think I lip sang Nutshell 3 or 4 times, maybe, and he just changed the views and pieced it all together. We always do that at the last part of the filming. Most of the work we do takes weeks to plan, and then 2 or 3 hours to shoot.
Really?
So,
Wow.
And then Josh is really good about getting it back. I get it back within 7 to 14 days. So
Holy cow, yeah.
he's very good. He's very good. And we have a great, we talk to each other 2 or 3 times a week just to chat and talk about what's going on. There's a video that I put today of him outside with the dog, and he like made a voice for the dog. He's just really good. Josh is super easy to work with. Highly recommend him for anybody that needs a video done in our area, because he's a really good artist as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine he's probably got a thriving business down there too. Because as I've gotten into, you know, I was not a music person before I started this radio station. I did it just because I seen the troubles people were having with all these platforms like Spotify and Facebook and everybody. You know, as a podcaster, I would just get buried. And for me, it didn't matter because this was just fun for me, man. I just enjoyed talking to veterans, and it helped me out probably way more than I've helped anybody else out. But I didn't care if there was 1 person or 10,000, you know. But when I started having artists on here, I realized, man, some of these people, this is their life. This is how they're putting food on their table, paying their bills, and we got these algorithms that are just burying them, you know. So that's where the radio station came from, was just different interviews that I had here. And since then, music has become more important to me because now I'm surrounded by all these veteran artists, and I'm relating to a lot of the music, you know, in multiple genres too, not even just country or just rock, or, you know. So
I feel like
it's crazy.
I feel like that music is for us that are vets that are putting music out. We are the war poets of our
I
generation.
agree. Absolutely.
We're telling stories, and they might not be 100% true, but there's a lot of truth in the messages that can be understood by our demographic. And I mean, so many of us, so many of folks in their 30s and 40s were a part of what happened in 2001. So we're going to be around for a long time.
And I think it's important that stuff like this is happening because, you know, good or bad, like they say, once it's on the internet, it's there. You're never going to get rid of it. And, you know, this is just like you said, documenting stories. You know, you could take some of these songs and learn a lot, because there's a lot of similarities in the stories of kind of piece what really happened, regardless of what happens in history books later. You know, you'll be able to tell what happened from just the songs that are being sang. So Yeah, absolutely. I love how all of it has came together, and we're actually in the middle of turning it into a 501c. I didn't start it for a profitable business or anything. I used to own a trucking company, and I've had enough of my businesses. I don't really care to do it again. But I just felt like it was important, and again, I think it's helping me more than I'm helping anybody else. But I just thought there was a message that everybody should hear.
I definitely think that, you know, it's crazy. My husband and I went out to eat the other night, and I was having a rough day.
Mhm.
So on stage, you get the best of Jenn Ford. You get me in my superhero outfit. Like, I have my craft together. Look how cool I am. Look how much I work. It's so easy for me to play guitar. Whatever.
Yeah,
But that is only about 10%, 10 to
yeah,
20% of the reality. And so sometimes I have rough days where I just have a hard time. And my husband and I went out to dinner a couple of nights ago. Like, I said, I don't want to cook. And he was like, great, that's fine. I don't want you to cook if you don't want to cook. I said, can we go to Texas Roadhouse? He said, absolutely. So we went to Roadhouse, and I got in there. I was hangry. You know how you're like, just
yep.
give me a roll. Like, I don't care. Onion blossom, whatever. Any food, macaroni, green beans, I don't care. Just give me something to eat. I don't want to. So we ended up sitting at the bar because it was packed. It was on a Wednesday or whatever, and we went in there and sat at the bar. The lady was really nice. Came in, our waitress, at the bartender or whatever. She came in and gave us something to drink, and I was like, I need to apologize in advance. I'm hangry. I've had a long day. She's like, I'm gonna get you some rolls, and like immediately she was like taking care of me. And I was talking to my husband, and another couple came and sat beside us, and I was just telling him like, man, I hope I'm not like being rude. And he was like, babe, you're not being rude. You just hungry. And so we were having that conversation, and then a waitress, actually one of the managers from the restaurant, walked over there after we got our food, and she was, I didn't want to bother you, but I know who you are. And I was like, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah, I'm
And
like,
she's
what did
like,
I do to you?
yeah. I said, I'm sorry, was I rude? And she's like, no, you weren't rude. You're Jenn Ford. I love your music. You're amazing. I just didn't want to bother you before you got your food. And I was like, thank you. She goes, I've never been to one of your shows, but I'm following you on social media, and I think you're great. Just give me a big hug. And I was like about to cry. And I was like talking to Eric after she walked up. I said, that was so nice. I said, I don't even know what to do. I feel like crying. I said, I'm just trying to eat my food and like hide from everybody. And the lady next to Eric was like, I didn't want to say anything, but we know you're Jenn Ford. And I'm a big fan, and I was at your birthday show a couple weeks ago, and I've been following you, and I think you're great. And I was like, two people at the same time.
That's awesome.
Yes, it is awesome, but also it just made me feel a little bit like crap. I can't go nowhere and misbehave. Like I better not be rude to anybody. But it made me think like maybe I am making an impact one person at a time.
Absolutely.
And maybe I am inspiring people, and that's important to me. It's not about look at me.
Right.
It's not about, my hair's always a mess. I'm overweight. Like, I'm a regular person. I try to look my best on camera and all that stuff, and look my best on stage, but I'm not Kim Kardashian. I'm not ever going to be Kim Kardashian. I'm a real person. I've been married 3 times. Like, I've got baggage, but I'm
You
still
got life experiences.
I got life experiences, and I want people just to know that like all you can do is just try to do better than the day before.
Absolutely.
Be
Yeah,
nice.
I agree. And I think that's, for us veterans, I think that means starting by loving yourself too. You have to get to that point before you can start impacting others, because
And
if you don't love
sometimes,
yourself,
yeah, sometimes sometimes loving yourself is very hard to do because you think it's selfish to love
yeah,
yourself. if you can't take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anyone else.
Absolutely. Amen.
And so
Yep.
the first way you can take care of yourself is to set boundaries, set goals, do the things that you really, truly have a heart to do, because then you will never let yourself down.
Yeah.
You won't.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. And just accept, if things don't go right, just realize that that's just today. Tomorrow's going to be different. And, it took me a while to get to that point. Like I said, I did the wrong things when I first got out. I was definitely a mess and didn't even realize it. I was to the point where I'm not fucked up. Everybody else is fucked up, and then I put myself, because I couldn't find work. There's the 2008 was still affecting a lot of businesses. That was back when Ford and Chevy and all those dealerships started closing places down. And that's what I was. I was a mechanic in a small town. I picked that town because it had every dealership in it. As I was getting out, they were closing down. So I couldn't find work, and I started a trucking company, and I put myself in a truck driving 650 miles a day, 6 weeks at a time, being by myself, and it just put me in a downward spiral. I just stayed in my head, and man, it's taken years to get to the point where I'm at now. And none of that started until I could just finally accepted myself,
Yeah.
And that's tough.
It is very tough. It's tough to admit vulnerability. It's tough because we as soldiers or sailors or Marines, we are trained to not show weakness.
Yeah. And
we are expected to know what to do at the sign of trouble and distress. And when it's not imminent danger that, like someone shooting at you or someone trying to whoop your ass or whatever, then it seems very minuscule as far as like, nothing is attacking me right now. I'm in a house with air conditioning. I have running water and it's quiet and no one's shooting at me. Why do I feel like I'm drowning?
Yeah. I felt like that in the last couple of days. I just took a new job, a promotion, and it's came with a lot more stress. Plus, still everything that's going on with the radio station and podcast. And I have just, I've had people text me today, and I'm just like, look, today's not the day. I'm telling you, I'm fucked up today. So let's talk about this tomorrow. But I get it. One of the things that I like to do, especially for the artists, I like to play 2 songs, and the other one out of your portfolio that I picked was Hot Mess Express. I love that song. When I heard it, I said, man, that is such a fun song. Man. Where did that come from?
Well, I've got some girlfriends. I actually have more male friends, or I have traditionally had more male friends than I had girlfriends since I got out of the military. I'm surrounded by dudes in my band, and I have 2 sons, so we're football parents, and we're always at the football game or whatever. But I do have a history of shenanigans with my girlfriends, and I basically took every shenanigan scenario I've ever had, because I used to be a party animal, and I still like having a good time. But no one's on the cusp of getting a citation or getting arrested anymore. I've never been arrested. I've never been to jail. Knock on wood. Except when I was putting people in jail as an MP, but I probably could have been arrested a couple times for my shenanigans. That's the best way to describe it. But I think I wrote this song right around when COVID was like taking off, and my sister had just had a baby, and I went down and saw her, and I thought it was hilarious that she was struggling as a parent. Because she's 10 years younger than me, and she's so gorgeous, and she's very smart, and she has all her crap together. And she might watch this and she may not watch this, but I love her to death. I love her so much. She's my best friend. Like, I just love her so much. She's such a hard worker. But because she was so much younger than me, when I got out and my children were small, a lot of times she'd be like, why are you doing this? That's not how you parent your child, and blah, blah, blah. And now she'll call me and ask me, like, what did you do when your son did this? Or what did you do, whatever? And it's just funny to see that that stage in her life and understanding, like, how precious that moment is, but also how stressful that is. And you just need a night out with your girlfriends just to go have a good time and let go and just be a girl. And so that's kind of why I wrote that song, sort of for her, because she kept calling me as a young mother and in the middle of all of the responsibilities she had, and I was like, we just need to go out. We just need to go out and let our hair down and get on the dance floor and drink a little bit and have a good time. And so that's basically it. I used Thelma and Louise reference in the song as well. And that is one of my most popular shirts that I sell at my show. And I'll be at the mall and I'll see like girls with their hair in a bun on top of their head wearing leggings, and they got the Hot Mess Express on. And I'm just, and my face, like, it's actually a photo that I put on there of me singing like with my tambourine, like, you know. And so many people, we have to buy that shirt and restock that shirt every couple months because we sell out. And also, I'm starting a podcast of my own called the Hot Mess Express.
Really?
September, yeah. Where basically I can have anybody on the show, a musician or whatever, and it's not scripted. But I'm going to do a Hot Mess Express showcase where we actually, I host like a music showcase and have my friends on there. We talk about their music, but I already have a theme song for the show because, you know, I wrote it. So
there you go.
Thanks,
and you need to make sure you let me know when you start it, because I will definitely be a fan. I listen to podcasts every day because I have an hour and some odd minutes to one way to work and back. So that's all I listen to. So let's go ahead and play Hot Mess Express by Jenn Ford.
It's super fun.
It is. When I heard it, I said, we've got to play this one.
Well, thank you.
Honey, you look like you could use a drink. Another day gone and it's been a hell of a week. It's been a while and you've been losing you. Pick up your chin, this is what we're gonna do. Get on the Hot Mess Express, we're gonna have a good time. Let's get out on the dance floor and drink it all night. Don't you worry about nothing, hop on in all aboard. It's time to raise the roof until they shut down the dance floor. Deep yoga pants, put on your favorite boots. I'll take you out for a spin. 'Cause girlfriend, we look cute. We're gonna dance with all the cowboys and drink lots of booze. It's just the thing we need to get rid of those work and go blues. Get on the Hot Mess Express, we're gonna have a good time. Let's get out on the dance floor and drink it all night. Don't you worry about nothing, hop on in all aboard. It's time to raise the roof until they shut down the dance floor.
Yeah, you had me nervous there for a minute. You can't hear me? I wonder what happened. Yeah, I can't hear you either. What about now? Nope. I'm not sure what happened. We are having some technical difficulties. Yeah, something happened with Jen's audio. I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to it. She's having some audio issues, and I'm not sure why. Yeah, and we can't hear you either. Hey, Jen, I hate to end the show this way, but why don't we go ahead and end it, and then I'll give you a phone call. How does that sound? All right. Everybody, that's Jenn Ford. You guys, I will make sure that I have her links and everything in the description when we load this up on Spotify. You can find her at jennford.com, on Facebook at Jenn Ford Music, or you can follow her on Spotify. I suggest everybody do it because she's got amazing music. You know, there's a lot of big people out here that's noticed, and you might want to catch her now before she starts selling out massive auditoriums and the price has become $150,000. See credit approval to go see Jenn Ford. So, Jen, I appreciate it. You take care, and we'll talk to you all later. Maybe it might just been a bandwidth issue or
I
something.
can hear you now.
Yeah. Well, you can hear me. Really?
Yep.